Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam and welcome to a special video. This video is going to be talking about Better Call Saul Season 6 Part 1. It agonizes me that this has been split into two parts, but this show is just, it's the best show on television right now, and I really wanted to talk about it, but I'm not doing it by myself. I am so supremely grateful that I have this guest on today. He is someone that I've been subscribed to for quite some time, and I'm so happy that we've finally gotten together to do something. It's the great and powerful Ryan O'Toole. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you, Ryan Cam. I'm excited to be on your channel, man. I've been subscribed to you as well for a long time. You know, we followed each other's channels as well. We do the Suit Up Geeks drafts every single month, pretty much. Yeah, I'm Ryan O'Toole. I review movies just like Ryan does, and I'm a huge Better Call Saul fan, just like Ryan. I as well just am so invested in this Breaking Bad universe, and I totally agree with you. Better Call Saul is the best show on television right now. And man, I got a lot of thoughts after that season 6, part 1, that cliffhanger. Insane, man.
Yeah, it really was. And just a heads up, this is going to be talking about spoilers. This is a spoiler warning. I mean, I don't think there was any way that Ryan and I could talk about this show without going into spoilers. So this is your official spoiler warning. If you have not seen this show, watch it. It's all on Netflix up to season 6. Do yourself a favor and watch it. It is excellent, especially when you start from the beginning, because it's like season 1 is really good, and then 2 is better, then 3 is somehow even better, and 4 is somehow even better than that. And 5 is somehow even better than that. The consistency on the show is epic, but do go and watch it for yourself, because we will be spoiling everything that we possibly can in season 6, because I don't think there's any conceivable way that we can just like dance around any of this. So let's jump right in there, Ryan. And did you end up watching Breaking Bad as it came out, or did you end up seeing it on Netflix? So what was your first memory of it?
Yeah, so my honest say is I'm not really the TV guy. So I'm more of the movie guy. I review movies all the time. There is a lot of TV shows I'm embarrassed to admit that I have not seen. And back in the day, in 2019, I said I have not seen Breaking Bad, the greatest TV show of all time. So there is a small movie called El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie coming out on Netflix. So I'm like, perfect. Now I can finally watch Breaking Bad for the very first time on Netflix. And I was blown away with the storytelling of that show, like with Walter White as a character and his transition to becoming a monster with Heisenberg. And of course, there was the lawyer, Saul Goodman, which is his character, is the main character of Better Call Saul. And after I watched Breaking Bad, I immediately watched El Camino, the conclusion to Jesse Pinkman's story. But then they announced that they're going to do a prequel to Better Call Saul after Breaking Bad ended. And many of the fan bases were like, what, Breaking Bad was a perfect finale. Why are you doing a prequel for Saul Goodman or a spinoff? But then I was like, everybody was getting on me. Ryan, you watched Breaking Bad. Now you got to watch Better Call Saul. Now you got to watch Better Call Saul. I've been hearing nothing but praise for the show. And so I found out that they renewed Better Call Saul for a season 6, and it was going to be the final season, and they were splitting it into 2 parts. And so I was like, perfect. Now I could finally watch Better Call Saul. This was during the pandemic. Like, there was nothing else to do. So I'm like, I'm going to binge Better Call Saul. And luckily, I was getting slowly interested in the first season. I'm like, this is good, but not great yet. But then it was after when Tuco showed up, and I was like, all right, now I'm invested. And so I just crammed through it, and I fell in love with this show. Like, was blown away with it.
Yeah, that usually happens when Tuco enters the equation. It's like things get immediately interesting.
Yeah, and then all the stuff with Chuck, I'm like, this show is amazing. Like, I need to watch more.
Yeah, because the dirty little secret about Breaking Bad is that season 1 is really good, but it's like 1 is like the least best of the seasons, if that makes any sense. It's like when Tuco was introduced that things really, like, we get into the meat of the
Yeah,
story.
that was the first episode of Better Call Saul, and I'm like, oh, Tuco is getting thrown into the mix here. I like where this is going.
Yeah,
And
he's
then all the
not.
way,
Yeah, he's not in the show all that much, but he's in it for like small doses, and just those doses are just like, yep, like this actor's just excellent doing it.
and the thing I love the most about Better Call Saul is, yes, it is a prequel to Breaking Bad. But what I love the most about this show is it's its own beast. Like Breaking Bad was a lightning in a bottle show. Like that is a monumental show. But Better Call Saul managed to overcome the impossible. Because how can you top Breaking Bad? But Better Call Saul, in ways, could top Breaking Bad by the end of its conclusion. And I'm just so impressed by how this show has managed to become its own thing and separate itself from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And really, like you said, it's like Breaking Bad is excellent, but somehow, some way, it's like Better Call Saul is somehow like still better. I can't put my finger on why. It just is, because with most prequels, you kind of get the feeling of, all right, you kind of know what's going to happen in certain events. You do know what's going to happen, but here I can't remember if a prequel ever made me speculate, all right, this person said this thing, so clearly this is where they're going to end up here. And then that's not even the case at all. Is it
Yeah.
like, especially since this season is now cut into two parts, I'm just playing the game of, all right, not going to make it out of this? And well, a pretty big character, Nacho, ends up not making it out of it, and we'll cross that bridge in a second. But, you know, honestly, I think the most intriguing character has got to be Kim. If I'm being honest, because Kim started out at the beginning of this show as like, straight laced lawyer, do the right thing, like Atticus Finch type lawyer, but now she's like a completely different person. Fair to say.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like that she was like the perfect, like, great lawyer. She's going to do her job. She's extremely loyal to Howard Hamlin and HHM. She likes Jimmy a lot. Didn't want to do any of the cons that Jimmy was doing and presenting to her. But now she's become like Heisenberg in a way. She's become the bad, and she's able to do things now that she was not willing to do in season 1 and 2. And talk about a great character transformation for Kim Wexler.
Yeah, and to paraphrase, or actually to quote from Walter White, or to paraphrase, she liked it, she was good at it, and she was alive. Now, considering that this
Mm-hmm.
is cut into two parts, I have a feeling that Kim's not going to make it out of this, considering that we don't
Yeah.
hear a whiff of her in Breaking Bad. And there was a theory that she ends up being Wendy from the Crystal Palace. Well, it turns out Wendy from the Crystal Palace was in the show, so that theory's dead.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling either Lalo's gonna whack her, or something bad's going to happen to her.
Yes, especially since after the cliffhanger, spoilers, Lalo kills Howard Hamlin in Kim's apartment. And to their horror of that, like I didn't expect that. You did not expect that to happen. I'm like, holy crap. Now, where are things going to go from here in terms for Kim, which is the other character in the show, and Lalo, whose fates we're uncertain of? And I agree with you. I don't think it's going to end well for Kim. It's going to be a tragic end to her and Jimmy's love story. And it's going to be hard to watch, but it's just a great character at the end of the day.
Yeah, it really is. Rhea Seehorn just gave this character socks. Like, she's been
Yeah.
consistently my favorite throughout the whole show, whether it's in season 2 when she lost Sandpiper and she was stuck in doc review, and she found Mesa Verde and she got shafted until things lined up to where she actually got Mesa Verde after all, to the car crash, to everything in between. She's just been consistently, like, whenever Kim shows up, I'm like, hey, there you are. There's my favorite.
Yes, her, Mike, and Gus are like, and Jesse possibly are like my favorite characters in the whole Breaking Bad universe. Like, I'm just blown away. Ray Seahorn and also Bob Odenkirk. I'm just still baffled that they have not won Emmy Awards by this point. I hope to God this is the year they finally get that well-deserved award. Just phenomenal performances.
I don't have a ton of hope for it because award shows are pretty much garbage nowadays, but there's a
Hmm.
small kernel of hope where I'm just like, maybe this is their time. If there is a time, the time is now. That's all I will say. But
Yeah, yeah,
I like for this like half of the season they named the episodes of something and something, like Rock and Hard
yeah.
Place, Hit and
Wine
Run,
and Roses. What
Plan
was
and
the one?
Execution.
Nachos episode. Plan and
That was
execute.
Rock and
Rockin'
Hard
Hard
Place.
Places. Yeah. Some cool title names because at the start of the show, they had like a lot of one word titles like Uno and uh,
Uno,
H
Nacho,
Chum,
Pimento.
JMM, a lot of one name titles. And this season, they're like leading up to something with those episode titles.
You know, it would be funny if they did like beginning and end or something as like the final one. If but again, that probably won't happen. But it'd be it'd be amazing if they did. But I guess we've put it off long enough. Let's talk about Nacho's death because oh my goodness, Michael
Oh my
Mondo
God,
just
man.
owned that episode, and I was like I said, there was a kernel of hope of like, come on, man, you can get out of this, but it was like no, like this is his
Mhm.
Alamo right here.
Yeah, I think it's the easiest death was to predict was Nacho. I definitely think he was going to die for sure early on. You know, at the end of season 5, which was a fantastic season of Better Call Saul, after he opened Lalo's gate and all those assassins were trying to kill Lalo, they completely failed. Nacho was on the run, and we saw that the first 3 episodes. And Michael Mando, man, yeah, I keep saying it, it's not going to happen. I wish he was nominated for that Emmy because his performance in the 3rd episode, when he just gives that monologue to Hector, like, I put you in that chair, you will think of me. So good, man. Like, Michael Mando crushed it in that episode. And Nacho's character arc, like, he started off as a character that's like all this Tuco's right hand man, like this criminal guy, awful person. But no, he's become one of my favorite characters. He's one of the best characters in the show. In this arc with his father and just him turning on the Salamancas and just wanted to kill them, like just an excellent arc for Michael Mando as Nacho.
The stuff between Nacho and his father is low key some of the most brutal stuff that I've seen in a while because it's like you can tell that Nacho is trying so hard to keep like his father and the stuff with Tuco like completely as separate from each other as possible. But just
He's totally the Jesse Pinkman of this story. Absolutely. He wants to get the hell out of this world, like this whole life and everything, keeping everybody safe. And that's just why we all love Nacho. And Michael Mando just killed this role.
yeah, he absolutely did. And Nacho's dad just didn't want anything to do with him at one point. And I'm just sitting there like, if only you could see that Nacho was like trying to get enough money so you two could like escape. If you could only see, but you
Mm-hmm.
can't, and it's frustrating.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just the everything he was trying to do, like in season 6, like trying to escape, and the cousins were always there, like catching him. The oil tank sequence, he actually did that himself. Was able to hold his breath in oil for that long, just so great. And then just the way he wanted to go out on his own terms and just doesn't reveal Gus and that he was actually the one that hired him to do it, and just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, in the words of Frank Sinatra, he did it his way. And I love the end of that episode where like the twins just carry Hector's chair over and
Yeah.
Hector like just impotently like shoots the carcass when Nacho's long gone. And it's like, yeah, it's revenge, but it's about as hollow as that tanker that Nacho was hiding in. Is like it's about as petty as you can get. But I mean the damage has been done, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that Gus, the thing with Gus, because we know what happens to Gus with Face Off and all of that, but
Hmm.
it's interesting. Like, this show has been so fascinating to see just where the origins of his hatred for the Salamancas began. I mean, we knew with the Hermanos episode, but just seeing him like keep Hector in like that state of like just keeping him alive enough to not be able to do something, but just keeping him alive enough to see everything. It's like Gus Fring is secretly just the most evil person in TV history.
Oh yeah, I mean Giancarlo Esposito. He's one of my favorite actors right now working today. Him and Bryan Cranston, they're up there. I just think he's just such a great character actor. And Gus Fring as a character, like I was very happy when they brought him into Better Call Saul because yes, we obviously know where he's going to end up in Breaking Bad, like you mentioned, with his face getting blown up by Heisenberg, and he blew up Hector, and Hector actually blew him up. So I just think I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with his war with Lalo and the rest of the Salamancas. And yeah, we already mentioned Giancarlo's great, and Mike too is so good. Love Mike.
Yeah, Giancarlo Esposito and Jonathan Banks had acted in a lot of things beforehand. There are clips circling of Jonathan Banks being in this show called Sanford and Son in like the 70s. So the dude's been around a while, and Giancarlo Esposito was in Do the Right Thing. I can't remember the character's name. I think it was Mookie.
Yeah, he was in Malcolm X too. He was in a good amount of Spike Lee's films.
So they've both been around forever, but it's like what they say about overnight successes. It's like there's no such thing as an overnight success. They've been around forever. It's just this is the thing that like launched their career.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which is also funny considering that Bob Odenkirk wrote for SNL and did a lot of other like things in the comedy world, but it's like again, this is the thing that he is known for, and it's just fantastic.
And Michael McKean, a legend, we all know he plays Chuck in Better Call Saul. He as well was in the SNL world in a ton of comedy as well, and he's a phenomenal dramatic actor. I just love that the show brings in comedic actors that are known for comedy, but they're so great at dramatic roles. That's just a trend I've noticed in this world.
I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Clue starring Tim Curry, but Michael McKean is Mr. Green in that movie. And I remember seeing it in my luxury theater, seeing Clue, and I was like, why does this dude look so familiar? And then it hit me. I'm like, oh, that's Chuck. Younger Chuck, but that's still Chuck. But obviously the biggest, outside of the Nacho stuff, the biggest through line has been Saul or Jimmy and Saul interchanges. Jimmy and Kim against Howard. Now, Howard is a character that I've had a very complicated relationship with. In some seasons, I've been like, I despise you. But on other seasons, I'm just like, why am I feeling sorry for you?
Leave Howard alone. Jeez.
And in this season, like Patrick Fabian just did an excellent job of just like making me feel sorry for this person. Like you see, like he's like very separated from his wife, like HHM. Like he's like clearly losing it or perceived as losing it. No thanks to Jimmy and Kim. But that whole scheme is like, you kind of want to see it happen because we're on board with Kim and Jimmy and getting away with it. But at the same time, it's like, really, to Howard, it's like this ebb and flow of yay and oh, and yay and oh. If you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Let's talk Howard. I mean, Patrick Fabian, I think he doesn't get enough credit like Bob Odenkirk and Ray Seahorn and all of them. Like he doesn't get talked about as much. I just think him as Howard, I think he's become a very hit or miss type of character. And I think he's one of the best written characters in this whole show. Like you said, the start of season 1, we all thought he was the one that didn't want to hire Jimmy into HHM, but no, it was Chuck. Like every order Howard did was because of Chuck. Chuck just hated Jimmy, didn't want to see him succeed. But Howard wanted Jimmy to succeed, kind of like he wanted to work with him, but we seen that relationship with him and Jimmy, that hit or miss, mostly that rivalry relationship and the downfall with him and Kim. And I just think we obviously knew going into season 6 that they were going to get back at Howard, mostly Kim when she did with the guns and all that. So, and I just think when they put the drugs in his locker at the golf club, another prostitute sequence, and the with the Kettlemans once again, and everything, and of course the boxing match between him and Jimmy.
Yeah, there was so much leading into this. It was honestly, it was kind of, it's weird. Like when the Kettlemans, it just was like, you
They're
people and
back.
you people annoy me. But at the same time, seeing them back, I was like, I I have never I've never wanted to see so people and who annoy me so much
Wow.
no more.
Yeah, I didn't expect them to come back, but I'm like, oh.
Well, we know where Saul ends up getting the whole inflatable Statue of Liberty idea. Like that was
Oh
the
yeah.
exception, and the gaudy
Yes.
decor and the whole nine.
Oh yeah. And seeing the inflatable statue, I'm like, we're getting there. We're into Breaking Bad time.
Yeah, it's like the timelines are slowly beginning to converge with each other, slowly but surely.
Mhm.
And then eventually what ends up happening at the big meeting with Howard and the whole juice in the eyes getting this big, and you're just, again, I'm just like, he kind of deserves it, but he also kind of doesn't, because he's going through a lot of stuff right now and he really needs this thing to land, and it didn't. So it's like it's like sort of chaotic good or chaotic evil. I can't really put my finger on like the alignment chart, or maybe it's chaotic neutral. I don't really know.
Yeah. And it's very similar to what happened to Chuck, obviously, in the courtroom sequence and the thing with the missing numbers, the 1216, 1261. But this time it's the photo with the guy with the broken arm. And so, and just seeing Howard just lose it. And like, he's like, I just couldn't prove it. The chicanery is like when Chuck flips out in court. And I just love that they brought back the line, I'm not crazy. Just something we remember from season 3. And I just also feel bad for Cliff, the other character that we see throughout the show. Like he just feels bad for Howard, and it's like, you got to get help, Howard, but he has no idea what's truly going on. And just the downfall of Howard is just tragic. Like, he did not deserve to get killed. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was very tragic, but we all kind of saw it coming for Howard at the end of the day. And Patrick Fabian just killed this role. And I love that halfway throughout the season, Howard gets right into the ringer with Jimmy and just challenges him to a boxing match. And like, let's settle this out like men. And totally did not expect to see them in a boxing match. I thought that was just pretty funny.
Yeah, I did not see that coming either. And it's just a case of, like I said, you start out hating him, but then you kind of feel sorry for him by the end. It's one of those things where it's like there's no easy answer. So it's like you like him in certain moments, you despise him in others, but it just is what it is. And I guess since we're sitting now with a half a season left to go on this, I think we should do some speculating as to what happens next. Like I gave one prediction, Kim is a dead woman walking. I don't think Lalo's going to make it out of this, considering that we don't hear a thing about him in Breaking Bad. I think he's going to be kicking the bucket, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard a rumor, and I think this was reported on, that Walt and Jesse were going to be seen in this. And
They are confirmed.
Oh,
Yes,
they're confirmed.
Peter Gold confirmed it in a press conference. That, remember, we pitched an idea with Walt and Jesse being in the show. Well, they're going to be in it. You'll see them eventually, and we can obviously speculate. Obviously, where I have speculations myself, where I think their cameos are going to pop in at certain moments. And also for Lalo and Kim, I have predictions for them as well, and just where I think this show is going to connect with Breaking Bad.
Well, you're the guest. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so we talked with Lalo. Tony Dalton just crushes with this role as Lalo. I just think he's such a great villain in this show. And I agree with you. I think Lalo's not going to make it at the end. because Gus has that conversation with Hector in Breaking Bad, where he's like, the Salamanca name is dead. And so that pretty much I can assume Lalo is not going to make it out. And also in season 2 of Breaking Bad, when Saul gets introduced, when Jesse and Walt kidnap him, bring him out to the desert, he's like, Lalo, did Lalo send you? And he also mentioned Nacho's name. It wasn't me, it was Ignacio. So at that point, Saul has no idea about Nacho's fate. And Lalo, he encounters him in Kim's apartment when he comes back and kills Howard. So I think Lalo will end up dying in the war against Gus and all of them. And that's where I think Lalo will meet his end. And Kim herself, I think, will end up dying at Lalo's hands by the end. I know a lot of people speculated that maybe she could disappear herself, but unfortunately, the actor Robert Forster, who plays the disappearer, did pass away around when El Camino came out. And so I don't think she'll disappear, and I don't think that'll be her end. I think she will die. In the show, Lalo will kill her, and Jimmy will be devastated, and that will turn him into Saul Goodman, the criminal lawyer we all know from Breaking Bad. And yes, it was confirmed that Walt and Jesse will appear in the show by Peter Gould. Now, I think Jesse's cameo is the easiest to predict because he does know Saul Goodman. He introduces Walt to Saul Goodman. Like, if you want a criminal lawyer, you get a criminal lawyer. So I think we will see Jesse in his pimped out clothes that we know. He'll meet with Saul in his office. And then that will be Jesse's cameo. He'll be talking with Saul, of course. He'll be dealing drugs at the time. I know his first partner was No Dose. No, what's his name?
Crazy Eight.
Crazy Eight, yeah. He was partners with him at the start of Breaking Bad. So he'll go to Saul, talking about his drug dealing and all that. So that's what I think Jesse's cameo will be. And we'll see Aaron Paul back in there. And now Walt, at the time, we all know he's a chemistry teacher, and he's not Heisenberg. So a few things that could happen with Walt is he could bump into either Jimmy or Kim, possibly. I think we would all love to see Kim have an interaction with Walter White. Like, they accidentally bump into each other and they talk for a bit like that. Because there's no way Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan, they love the fan base so much. No way they would make it just like a quick done cameo. Like, oh, there's Walt, there's Jesse, they're done. No, they got to make it they're going to make it very impactful with their cameos. I think either Walt will bump into Kim, or at the time, we also know that Walt is also working at the car wash. What if he washes Saul's car and he has no idea who Walter White is? That would be really cool if Walter White was washing Saul Goodman's car, which we know from Breaking Bad. So those are two speculations I have as far as what Walt and Jesse's cameos will be in the show.
I was thinking about this earlier, and I had this idea because we see Saul Goodman for the first time in Breaking Bad in the Better Call Saul episode, season
2, episode 8. Yeah.
Thank you. And thinking about it, I was kind of thinking maybe this is where the timelines converge, where we finally see Walt go into his office as Mr. Mayhew with the whole Badger situation. But again, at the same time, that would have to be like a pretty significant time jump. So I don't think that would be necessarily plausible. I honestly think your theory is about as good as anything. I mean, considering Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould, they have got a well-oiled plan. They've got every corner mapped out. So whatever happens, it's probably going to be really good, fair to say.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, the goal of this show is to connect to the Breaking Bad universe. And what better way to have Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul back in their roles as Jesse Pinkman and Walter White one last time, like we saw in El Camino. And I think their cameos will be very awesome to see. And it's going to be great.
Yeah, and I was also thinking before I came on to record this, is Breaking Bad kind of like the perfect like, universe, if you want to put it like that? Because Breaking Bad's awesome, El Camino is awesome, and now this is awesome. It's like you've got the perfect like not three act, but like the perfect beginning, middle, and end, so to speak.
And
So
I really hope the final 6 episodes really stick the landing. And I fully trust Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould. They're going to stick the landing 100%. And also, we don't know the end game as well for Gene Takovic because we haven't seen the black and white open and like we're usually used to seeing for Better Call Saul. And because we obviously know in season 5, the cab driver notices, hey, I know who you are. Say it. Better Call Saul. And so I'm very curious to see, and as well, the disappearer. We said that was the last time we saw Robert Forster as the disappearer. And Gene says he's going to fix the situation himself. So what's going to happen with Gene Takovic?
yeah, I don't think Gene's gonna make it out of it. I think that's the end of the road for him. That's a good point. I did not think about the black and white opening because we got that literally every season except for this one. The first scene of the first episode of this season was, I want to assume, like the end of Ozymandias when Walt activates the disappearer and Saul does as well. So it's like Saul's house is being like taken apart. So
Yeah, I
I
have
think
to imagine, yeah, that's the Ozymandias outcome. That's Saul's mansion being taken apart, his golden toilet and everything. We see Kim's bottle wine opener, whatever that thing is. And
Zafir on Yeho.
yeah, so yeah, I think with Gene, I don't think I know a lot of people too speculated maybe we'll see Kim reunite with Gene, and that I don't think that'll happen, unfortunately. I think this show is just going to be ending so depressing. I think by the end of it, like, not every story has to have a happy ending. Or I like to quote Ramsay Bolton from Game of Thrones, if you think this has a happy ending, you clearly haven't been paying attention. So I don't think we're going to get a happy ending at all. It's going to connect the universes, but it's going to end it in a sad but brilliant way.
I could not agree more. And I was thinking just now, considering that Gene is living in Nebraska, and considering that Kim, I believe she mentioned, is from Nebraska, or did she say she was from Kansas? I think it was somewhere in that general ballpark. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
she survives and makes it back there. But again, that's a big ol' if. I agree with
Yeah.
you 100%. This ending is going to be incredibly depressing, but I think that's the best way that they could go with this. John Wayne's not going to be riding off into the sunset in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And no matter what's going to happen, we could probably say Better Call Saul was a well worth show to. Thank God it actually came out because this was a story we all doubted at the start. But then it earned our love and like this deserves to be something good. Like it should have been this good, but it's really good. It's a really fantastic show.
Yeah, it had no right to be as good as it was, especially for a prequel, but they have knocked it out of the ballpark at every avenue. Like there's nothing that I have like no complaints so far. We still have 6 episodes left, so but crossing all my fingers and my toes that this all works out. But what do you all think of Better Call Saul season 6 part 1? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say about it. Ryan, thank you so much for being a part of this. This has been a long time coming, and I hope that we can do something else one day.
Absolutely, man. If you want to have me on to talk part 2 of Better Call Saul once that concludes, I'm more than happy to come back on. I love talking about the show. Thank you, Ryan, for having me on your channel, man. Glad we finally did a collaboration. Definitely won't be the last one, man. If you want to find me on YouTube, it's Ryan O'Toole oh, this says Cody O'Toole, that's my brother, but you type Ryan O'Toole, you're going to see me reviewing movies every single week on my channel, as well as doing ranking videos. I will be uploading my review for Better Call Saul, season 6, part 1, very soon this week. I have some other content coming out as well. So yeah, look forward to that, guys. It's going to be a blast. Thank you, Ryan, once again for having me.
Oh, it is my pleasure. And when part 2 wraps up, you have a standing invite. Let's do this again. And as far as this channel goes, episode 22 or 23, I'd have to look it up later, of my podcast, Life in the Movies with Ryan and Jacob, will have dropped. We reviewed Top Gun Maverick. We reviewed season 1, episode 10 of Daredevil, and then did our June movie preview. So that was always a lot of fun. Since it looks like there's not really going to be a new release coming out, I'm going to be releasing a bit of a combo review of Bad Guys, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and The Northman. I haven't covered any of those, but I really want to, so I'm going to make a mega video talking about it. And then on Sunday, I'm going to be wrapping up my Jurassic Park series, or Jurassic World Dominion series, by unfortunately covering both Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom, because those movies are hard work. They really are. So please do be on the lookout for that. And I will link Ryan's channel in the description, as well as his Twitter. Please give him a follow on both of those. But until next time, for Ryan O'Toole, my name is Ryan Cam, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.